a difference. How many of you have children at home that play video games? Anybody have a child who's a gamer? Lots of gamers out there. Man, I have some gamers in the audience today. How does a child learn to play a video game? Did they get direct instruction? Or do they get on there and start playing? Learn by doing. How often do our kids get to learn by doing? If they struggle with that game, they might get on the phone and ask for help. We call that cheating. Our kids learn through collaboration. When they're learning the game, they make mistakes, don't they? Sometimes they die, have to start over. Are our classrooms safe for learning through your mistakes? Are mistakes seen as a part of the learning process? And the longer they play the game, what happens? They get better. They get better. They rise to a higher level. They master the game. How many of our children get to experience mastery in school? How many of our children can say, I mastered the times tables. I'm ready for long division. I mastered the decimals and percentages. I'm ready for algebra. You know what happens when you don't master things? You get pushed along with a weak foundation. And you can't do more advanced work because you don't have the foundation for it. If we teach the way our children learn, we teach differently. And I'm going to give you some examples of how that's happening. Examples of schools that are helping kids to utilize their higher order thinking skills that allow them to translanguage. Ofelia Garcia writes about translanguaging. You know what? That's how you actually learn a language. You use your primary language to acquire the second language. That's what the brain is doing all the time. The opportunity to learn and through complex tasks and through challenging texts. What are your children reading right now? Is it something that will make them want to keep reading after school? Keep reading in the summertime? That's what it should do, right? How many of you are avid readers? Anybody here an avid reader? How many of your children are avid readers? Okay, I'm glad to see some hands. My father, who did not graduate from high school, neither did my mother. They managed to send all 6 of us to college, top college in the country. He used to tell us, you get a free education with a library card. But most people don't practice it. So we insisted that we did. So on Saturdays, after the chores, my mother would send us to the library, as if that was a daycare center. Fortunately for us, there was a Panamanian librarian named Miss McDonald who was there to greet us, and she would take time with each one of us to find out what we were interested in, and then recommend a book. In 4th grade, she recommended to me A Wrinkle in Time. Yeah, anybody who's read it says, yeah, that's a good one. I became an avid reader right then. What makes kids want to read? Good literature. What are your children reading? Are they reading literature about themselves, about their culture, about their history, so they can make sense of who they are? Are they learning about other cultures? Because that's got to be part of the experience too. My daughter, who struggled with reading till 9th grade, when she had a very patient, thoughtful teacher. We're riding the subway one day from Washington Heights downtown, and she's reading a book while we're taking the train. I see her crying. I said, what's wrong? She said, this book is so sad. I said, well, stop reading it. She said, I can't stop. I said, why not? She says, it's too good. And I said, what are you reading? She says, The Kite Runner. Oh, no wonder. And then she continued to tell me about it. We're both crying on the way down. I hadn't even read the book. It's so sad. What are we reading, and what to our kids, and what are we having them read? Are we giving them the skills they really need for college? Skills like the ability to do independent research. Skills like the ability to critique what they read and see in the media, so they're not passively accepting everything thrown at them. Skills that allow them to produce high-quality work and demonstrate mastery. Demonstrate it. Produce it. We've got to demand more if we want our kids to be able to produce more. The Common Core calls for this, and if we took the time to understand the opportunities it creates, we would see that these skills that require kids to be able to apply ideas and engage in more complex texts, that encourage them to be able to systematically acquire knowledge in literature and other disciplines, and develop a broad array of literacy skills, and that, in fact, give teachers the ability to choose what kinds of texts and what kinds of assignments. Because this is not a mandated curriculum, at least not from the federal government. It might be in your district, but that's your district's problem. Still allows lots of flexibility to meet the needs of our children. Here's what's possible when you do it right. Brockton High School. Brockton High School is the largest high school in the state of Massachusetts. 4,200 students. Massachusetts is the top performing state in the country. For 6 years in a row, over 1/3 of the senior class at Brockton High School has gotten the highest possible score on the state exam, which gives them a free scholarship at any public university. And you know what's impressive about that? 70% of those kids were English language learners. 100% of those kids. 100% low income. Brockton is the only urban high school in the state gets a level 1 rating by the state. It's a poor, working class community. It's known for fighting. That's what it's known for. You Google, you'll find out they had a brawl at their last graduation. Rocky Marciano, the boxer, came from Brockton, so there's a boxer out front. They like to fight in Brockton, but they also like to write in Brockton. That's what they do. Because the secret to their success is what? Literacy across the curriculum. Every teacher, regardless of what they teach, is a teacher of literacy. The science teacher, the math teacher, the art teacher, the PE teacher even, trained on how to meet the needs of the children, how to develop their literacy skills. In 1998, when the school was about to take the high-stakes exams, a group of teachers went to the principal and said, the only way our students can pass these exams is if every teacher is trained in their discipline to develop the literacy skills of students. The principal said, that's a great idea, but I can't make the teachers do it. They said, let's work with the willing. We don't have to wait until everybody says yes. He said, well, I can't pay you. He said, we'll work on our own time. We will work and train each other in a very unionized state, unionized district. By 2002, 50% of the kids were passing, which was a victory because they expected 75% to fail. So they stuck with it. They didn't move on to a new technique, a new gimmick. They said, no, literacy works. By 2006, 80%, since 2010, over 90% of the students passed the state exam. There are no gimmicks. There are no gimmicks. We've got to really ask ourselves, are we organizing our staff to meet the needs of the kids? Brockton, they didn't sit around blaming the middle schools, say, oh, those middle schools keep sending us these unprepared kids. They said, let's meet the kids where they are and organize ourselves to address the needs. I can't tell you when I go to a school where they're blaming the kids and blaming the parents. Our parents are sending us their best kids, aren't they? Oh, I gotta go fast, okay. So the math standards also, they call for some different things. They call for us to support the ability for students to learn and apply math and concepts and procedures outside of math even. They call us to real world issues and challenges. They call for problem solving, collaboration, communication, interwoven into the standards. What does it look like when you get it right? Whoa, look at this classroom in East LA, Hollenbeck Middle School. Woohoo, East LA, right? So who are these kids? These are all English language learners. These are all recent immigrants. They're in an 8th grade algebra class, 90 minutes long. And they're up out of their seats. And the teacher's so good, she can stand in the back and talk to me. Because she doesn't have to hover. She doesn't have to control them because the children are in control. They're empowered as learners, which means they're not just learning math, right? They are learning to problem solve. They are learning to work together. They are learning impulse control. This is the highest form of classroom management known. It's called academic engagement. Now let's be clear, she didn't start this way in September, did she? No. She had to establish the norm. She had to know who was who. She knows that this one can't sit next to that one because he has a crush on her. They can't be together. Right? This is middle school. She knows learning has to be fun in middle school, right? Otherwise, they're going to make it fun at your expense. And because she's got them working together, you know what she gets to do? She gets to differentiate support. She gets to move amongst them and see who needs help, who's on task, who can work together, who can't. Who are your teachers that know how to do this? Who are your teachers that know how to move away from the cemetery method of teaching? You know the cemetery method? Line them up in rows, keep it as still as possible. Deadly, isn't it? Especially for the children. Sometimes deadly for the teachers too, because the kids usually don't want any part of it. So we've got to figure out, how do we create classrooms? How do we create schools where English language learners, students with learning disabilities, are not languishing in classrooms with teachers that can't meet the needs? I can't tell you if I go to school where they're out in a bungalow out back with some stressed out, inexperienced teacher. And then we're wondering why they're making no progress. There are support services that must be made available to these kids. There's got to be training for the teachers. There's got to be fidelity in the IEP. There's got to be teachers with support services. I'm sorry, I'm rushing through. I only have like a minute. But this is what it looks like when you get it right. This is the Bronx Academy of Language and Technology in New York. I'm naming the schools so you can visit them, okay? Because it's the proof that it can be done is the existence of these schools. The problem is not the children. The problem is the way we treat the children. This school, 50% of the kids are undocumented. All of the students are SIFE students, students with interrupted formal education. That means they weren't attending school regularly in their native countries, so they're not literate in their primary language. These children drop out in higher numbers than any other group of kids. 95% of them will graduate from that high school, with 6 or more regions in English as well. Now, some of them will be 21, almost 22 by the time they graduate, because their focus is on meeting the needs, not on keeping them according to some sequence of when you're supposed to do this. I asked the students, what makes a school like this work? You know what they tell me? It feels like a family. We all support each other. We're in this together. I asked the teachers, what makes it possible for you to succeed here? I sat in as I watched teachers plan their lessons together. No lesson is put out to in a classroom unless it's been vetted by a senior teacher first. New teacher turned to me and said, don't all teachers do this? I said, no, they don't. He said, well, I don't know what I would do if they just put me in a classroom because I don't know what the hell I'm doing anyway. I'm glad I have the support. What are we doing to support the teachers? Blaming the teachers is not a strategy for improvement. Any more than threatening the schools. We've got to learn from examples of success. Those examples are out there. We've got to focus on getting our kids engaged. If Cabe is ready, go out there and tell your colleagues, we need to stop focusing on achievement. Achievement as measured by the test score, that's the outcome, maybe. That's only one indicator. You know, if you wanted to lose weight, I'm not saying you need to lose weight, but if you wanted to lose weight, would you focus on getting the best scale possible? And weigh yourself as often as you could? Or would you focus on the diet and the exercise? Focusing on engagement is the means through which we get better outcomes. We got to look at the outcomes, all the outcomes. Can they write? Can they read? Can they problem solve? But we've got to focus on the process to get there. And we got to keep in mind engagement is multidimensional, it's behavioral, it's cognitive, and it's emotional. We got to get the kids to want it, right? What did Jaime Escalante impart to his students? Ganas, the desire to learn. I was, you know, when he died just as they announced the failure of an experiment run out of Harvard, where they were paying kids for higher test scores, paying kids to read, paying kids to go to school. Right? This was another Eli Broad experiment. Meanwhile, Escalante dies, and there's this outpouring of former students who come out, engineers, doctors, lawyers, all from East LA, all coming out of Garfield High. I met one of them. She's an assistant superintendent in Inglewood. She said, everything you hear about Escalante is true. He was my teacher. She said, he used to come to my soccer games. I said, he came to your games? She said, yeah, but not to cheer for me. He would tell me I can't play soccer, I should go back to math. What are we doing to inspire our kids? What are we doing to get them to realize that knowledge is power, and that through education, not only can they change their lives, they can change the world. That's what's at stake. We can't wait for the politicians to come.